Hey everyone, welcome back to Gold Rush Reporter, your trusted source for real-world gold analysis and market insight. I'm your host, and today we're stepping away from charts and prices to talk about something much more personal. How safe is your gold, really? Now, I recently received a strange email. Someone I'd never met asked if I'd be comfortable storing $100,000 worth of gold at my house. And then they followed up by asking, "What kind of security do you have?" Yeah, that one definitely made every alarm in my head go off. But it also raised an important question. How secure are your precious metals? Not in terms of price, not value, but the physical security of your stack. Whether you're holding it at home, in a vault, or somewhere else entirely, today we're going to talk about the real risks and smart solutions for storing your gold safely. And before we start, quick question for you. Where do you keep your gold? Do you trust home safes or do you prefer an offsite vault? Let me know in the comments because I'm genuinely curious to see how other stackers handle this part of the game. Alright, let's dive in. So here's the thing. I've mentioned security before in passing, but I've never really connected all the dots in one video. So that's what we're doing today. Now, I've got to acknowledge the elephant in the room. I'm on the internet showing you my gold. That alone breaks the first rule of gold ownership. Don't talk about your gold. So yes, you could call me an outlier or just plain dumb. But the point isn't about me. It's about all of us who hold gold in some form and want to protect it smartly. And since that email was specifically about storing $100,000 or more in gold, let's keep that figure in mind. Because the type of security you need at that level is completely different from what you'd need for a few coins or a small stack. You wouldn't buy a $5,000 safe just to hide $1,000 worth of coins. That wouldn't make sense. But once your holdings start growing, your risk grows with it, and your security approach needs to evolve too. Now, just for clarity, I don't keep $100,000 worth of gold at home. That's not a smart idea for anyone who talks about this stuff online. But let's use that number as our working example, so we can really explore what proper gold security looks like. Because when it comes to storing precious metals, there's a spectrum of options, from hiding it at home in clever ways, to using safes, vaults, or even digital and allocated storage accounts. Every method comes with its own pros and cons, and the right one for you depends entirely on your situation, location, and comfort level. So, let's start at home. If you're storing gold on site, maybe in your house, a small office, or even a workshop, most people rely on anonymity as their main line of defense. In other words, if no one knows you have it, no one will come looking for it. That's actually the first and most underrated rule of gold storage. Keep it quiet. If you don't talk about it, don't flash it, and don't show it off. Your chances of a break-in targeting your metals drop to almost zero. But if you're like me, someone who's already broken that rule by talking about it on YouTube, then anonymity is off the table. So we need other layers of protection. In the next part, we'll dive into those, from hiding spots that actually work to the kind of safes that can buy you real protection time against professional thieves. All right, let's get straight into it. When we talk about storing gold at home, there are two main layers of security that matter: how hidden it is and how protected it is once found. For many small stackers, simple concealment is enough. If you have just a few ounces tucked away in a clever hiding spot and no one knows it exists, you're already ahead of most. Anonymity and creativity go a long way in protecting what you have. But here's where it gets tricky. Once the value starts creeping up into the tens of thousands, hiding it under the mattress or behind a paint can in the garage just doesn't cut it anymore. I know a lot of people think hiding gold in places like a fake electrical outlet or a hollow book is clever. And yes, it might fool a casual intruder. But let's be honest. Anyone serious enough to break into your home looking for valuables already knows those tricks. If someone is determined, they're going to look in all the obvious, unobvious places. So if you're relying on traditional hiding spots, you might be playing a dangerous game of luck. Now don't get me wrong, hiding your gold can work. I still keep a small portion of mine stashed in creative locations, and I doubt anyone would ever find it, even if they had all day. But the big drawback is accessibility. Think about it. In a real emergency, you might not have time to go unscrewing electrical boxes or digging through old paint cans. Imagine a flood, fire, or sudden evacuation. You'd want to grab your metals fast and go. Scattered hiding spots make that almost impossible. That's why many experienced stackers move toward using a centralized, secure spot, a safe. And I don't mean those small fireproof safes you can grab from a department store. Those are more for documents, not for serious protection. Here's the problem with small safes. They're easy to carry off. A thief isn't going to waste time trying to crack open your safe in your house. They'll just take it and open it later at their convenience. Even a cheap gun safe isn't much better if it's not properly installed. So if you're serious about home storage, bolting down your safe is step one. A securely mounted safe can't be tipped, moved, or carried away easily, and that alone makes a huge difference. Once it's anchored, the next consideration is build quality. Now, this is where real security comes in. Look for safes that have TL ratings. You'll see things like TL15 or TL30. TL stands for tool resistant. These ratings indicate how long it would take a professional thief using proper tools to break in. A TL15 safe has at least a solid inch of steel, and it's rated to withstand attacks with drills, pry bars, and cutting tools for at least 15 minutes. TL30 means 30 minutes. And let me tell you, for someone trying to get through solid steel with a torch or grinder, 15 minutes is a long time. That's why these safes are considered the entry-level standard for anyone serious about securing their metals. You can even get them built into your wall or floor, making them even harder to locate and access. Hide it under a rug, behind furniture, or even under a false floorboard. Of course, TL-rated safes don't come cheap. But when you're storing something like $100,000 in gold, that investment starts to make sense. Think of it like this. The safe isn't just protecting your gold, it's protecting your peace of mind. Now here's the truth. No one wants to say out loud. If someone really knows what you have, where you have it, and they're willing to take extreme measures, there's only so much you can do. But the idea is to slow them down long enough for alarms, cameras, or neighbors to respond. Or for them to just give up and leave. All right? So we've talked about hiding spots and safes. Now let's take it a step further and build a complete home security system around your precious metals. Because even the best safe in the world won't do much if your overall security is weak. Think of your home security like an onion, layered protection. Each layer slows down or discourages intruders before they even get close to your gold. Let's start with the most basic yet effective layer, surveillance. These days, setting up cameras is easier and cheaper than ever. You can buy high-quality Wi-Fi cameras from almost any electronics store. Many of them upload directly to the cloud, meaning even if a thief destroys the camera, the footage is already saved online. That's huge. I personally use both types, hardwired cameras and Wi-Fi ones. The hardwired system connects to a local server box inside the house and doesn't rely on an internet connection. The footage is stored securely and can't be tampered with remotely. Then, the Wi-Fi cameras give me live access to everything from my phone, anytime, anywhere. And it's not just about watching your doors and hallways. Place cameras near windows, garages, and any obvious entry points. That way, even before someone reaches your safe, you'll have multiple eyes tracking every move. Now, let's add the second layer: motion and intrusion detection. These systems pick up unusual movement, broken glass, or even window tampering. I've got sensors that detect when a window opens, and even glass break detectors that trigger an alarm the second something shatters. I can't tell you exactly how that tech works, but trust me, I learned the hard way that it does. Accidentally set it off once, and it scared me more than anyone else. Most modern systems come with monitoring services like ADT or Simply Safe. That means if your alarm triggers while you're away, you'll get an instant alert, and authorities can be notified automatically. Combine that with cameras, and you're already creating an environment that's very hard to breach quietly. Now, one of the simplest yet most effective security additions is something we sometimes overlook: a dog. You can't just install one, but if you've got a loud or alert breed, that's a living, breathing alarm system. Even small dogs make noise at the first unfamiliar sound, and that noise alone can make a potential intruder rethink their decision. And of course, there's the personal protection layer. Let's be honest, owning precious metals sometimes makes you think differently about safety. Some people prefer to keep defensive tools at home, but whatever your choice, the key is responsibility and preparation. You should only keep what you're trained and comfortable using. The point isn't to become paranoid, it's to be ready. Now, even with all these systems, cameras, alarms, safes, and deterrents, the real magic comes from how they work together. A camera on its own just records evidence. A safe on its own can still be broken into. But when you combine visibility, time delay, and deterrence, you create an environment where any attempt to steal your gold becomes noisy, risky, and time-consuming. And that's exactly what you want. Here's a quick recap of what a solid home defense setup might look like. All right, so now that we've covered home storage, hiding spots, safes, and full-scale home security setups, let's move on to the next layer of protection: off-site vaulting. This is where things start to feel a little more professional. Because at a certain point, keeping all your gold at home isn't just risky, it's stressful. Even if you trust your safe and security system, having too much in one place can make you uneasy. And honestly, it should. Now, I personally believe in diversification, not just with assets, but with storage locations too. You don't want all your eggs, or in this case, all your gold, in one basket. Let's talk about vaulting services first. A professional vault isn't like your local bank's deposit box. It's designed specifically for precious metal storage. These facilities are built like fortresses, thick reinforced walls, monitored 24/7, with multiple levels of access control and insurance protection. You can find private gold repositories or vaulting services in many countries, but not in every city. For example, the nearest high-security vault, to me, is about 5 hours away, and that's actually a good thing. Because if I can't get there easily, neither can anyone else. The one I use offers something called allocated storage. That means the metals are physically assigned to you. They aren't mixed with anyone else's gold, and you can visit the facility to verify what's yours. You get serial numbers, full documentation, and insurance coverage in case of damage or theft. That brings up another benefit: insurance. Most homeowners' insurance policies won't cover large precious metal holdings at home, at least not beyond a few $1,000s. Vaults, on the other hand, are designed to handle that risk. Your gold is insured at its full market value while it's stored there. Now, yes, there's a cost involved. Most vaults charge a small monthly or annual fee based on how much metal you're storing. Mine is around $50 per month. But think of it this way. You're not just paying for space, you're paying for peace of mind, security, and full coverage. Many of these vaults also offer safe deposit boxes, unregistered, private storage options that don't appear on public records. The trade-off is that because they're off the record, they're not insured in the same way as allocated storage. It's privacy versus protection. You choose what matters more. Now let's talk briefly about banks. A lot of people assume that a bank safe deposit box is a good place for gold. But that's not entirely true. Banks can close, restrict access, or even freeze entry during crises. Plus, most banks don't insure what's inside your box. So if something goes wrong, you're on your own. That's why I prefer independent vaults. They exist solely for storage and don't deal with financial restrictions or government holdups. Now, for those who want a digital option, there's something new. Online vaulting and layaway services. Companies like JM Bullion and their new Cyber Metals platform let you buy gold or silver that's physically backed but stored securely for you. You don't take physical delivery unless you want to. Think of it as a buy now, store safely model. You can accumulate small amounts each month, and when you're ready, you can choose to take delivery, like buying an American Gold Eagle once your balance hits the right level. All right, we've covered a lot, from hiding gold at home to high security vaults and even digital storage options. But now, let's bring it all together and talk about what really matters. How safe is your gold, really? See, the truth is, no system is 100% secure. Even the best safes can be cracked. The most advanced vaults can be breached. And digital storage platforms can be hacked. But here's the thing. You're not trying to make your gold invincible. You're trying to make it inconvenient. You want to make it as hard and as time-consuming as possible for anyone to even attempt to get to your gold. That's the goal. And that's where layered security comes in. Think of your strategy like an onion. Multiple layers. The first layer is physical security. Safes, locks, and cameras. The second is location secrecy. No one should know where your gold is, not even most of your family or friends. The third is diversification. Some at home, some in a vault, maybe even a small amount in digital storage. Each layer adds friction, and friction is what keeps your gold safe. Now let's talk about mindset, because this is something most new stackers ignore. Owning physical gold is not just an investment. It's a responsibility. You're your own central bank now. You don't get to call a hotline when something goes missing. You are the vault, you are the insurance, and you are the policyholder. That might sound intimidating, but it's actually empowering. Because when you hold real metal, you're holding something that can't be printed, deleted, or inflated away. So whether your goal is to protect your family's future, hedge against inflation, or just preserve purchasing power, security has to be part of the conversation. Not after you buy, but before you buy. One last thing, I often hear people say, what's the point of owning gold if I can't easily access it? And it's a fair question, but here's how I look at it. You don't own gold for convenience, you own it for resilience. When everything else fails, the system, the banks, the currency, your gold is still there, waiting patiently, no matter where it's stored. So my recommendation? Keep a small emergency stash at home. Accessible but secure. Store the majority in a professional vault with insurance. And if you're just starting out, use a reputable online platform to build gradually. This balanced strategy protects you against almost every scenario, Remember, gold is not just a metal, it's peace of mind, but only if you protect it wisely.